Hello, Abuja. You are listening to 93.7 Citizen FM, the latest radio station based in Nigeria's capital. Our station seeks to broadcast a broad mix of culture and views with priority given to development programming to enable residents share ideas and opinions, music and drama. At Citizen FM, we believe in progressive talk and solution-driven conversation. Our aim is to build a united Nigeria by bringing people of diverse culture together through communication. Enjoy listening to 93.7 Citizen FM. We are more than just a radio station. We are a part of your life.
That's what the time is. Welcome. It is Citizen FM 93.7, the 11th day of the month. Yes, it is the 11th of March 2025. And as daily reminder, I hope your plans for the year has come in when you started the year. I hope that the plans, the resolutions, the whatever you called it, what's it called? Something board, vision board, yes. I hope everything is panning out the way you anticipated. And I hope that you're doing everything that you can to achieve your goals and your dreams. Welcome, one. It is a great day here in the Federal Capital Territory. I hope you're listening to me from Abuja. Otherwise, I also appreciate that you're able to, make time to join us. Listening online, fantastic. On YouTube, great to have you. Anyhow it is you're joining us today on the program, I'd like to especially thank you for being a part of it. It is time for news from around Africa, and I am Didi. It's exactly 7:35, so let's get things started. And we know that the effect of the decisions by the President Trump's administration would continue to have effect. We'll continue to see the effect of that. It's not one of those decisions that is just in the moment. He made a decision and then we have to get over it and move on with our lives. No, a lot of people will face the consequence. We know that authorities in Uganda have started raising concerns, although I also like to drop the cap that it's time for some of these countries to begin to do something for themselves. Instead of crying, lying on the ground and just wailing and going on and on about, oh, we are affected. Perhaps you could do something about it. Anyway, to the report, we know that authorities in Uganda are raising concerns. There's something they call malaria season in Uganda, and it's apparently in season now. It's coming on strong, and health authorities are saying, oh, we're going to suffer for it. Across much of Africa, this thing about malaria season is supposed to kick off this month, and the disease remains the deadliest on the continent, particularly affecting children. The decision by the administration of Trump to cut off 90% of U.S. foreign aid in contracts has raised alarms among health officials who have warned of impending disaster in some of the poorest areas of the country. We have one of them on tape, Dr. Jimmy Opibo, who oversees Uganda's malaria control program. And he informed pressmen that the stop work orders from U.S. aid issued in January have forced him and his team to concentrate on disaster preparedness. He's not the only one that spoke. We also have another health expert who spoke on the issue. Let's hear them. Let's hear what they had to say.
Not the complicated version. You only get oral medications that are around 25 or 20. So in total, it's around 60,000 Ugandan shillings. In terms of dollars, that's around, let me see, $20 or $18 or $19 you get. But if we go to the severe form where you need IVs, in addition, they may give you other IV fluids just because maybe malaria may cause dehydration, you may vomit, you get. So there, the bill is usually way, way too higher. It may be 3 times that amount. So $20 times 3 may be around $60, which is really a big figure when you look at our socio-economic status of most of the people in our country.
That's Dr. David Malenga explaining, of course, the financial implication for those who have to fend for themselves going forward after the decision to cut off, aid to some of our African countries, and Uganda is greatly affected. As I said, he wasn't the only one who spoke. We also have an official who said, since the decision, they didn't have anything else to do, so they just had to resort to preparing for disaster.
The disruption has worked on, for example, the logistic system. The medicines, the test kits, the mosquito nets, the spray operations. We are constantly consuming these things. They are produced somewhere offshore. They have to be shipped, warehoused, and moved to service delivery points. So right now, this process has been interrupted. Meanwhile, the service delivery points are exhausting what they had at hand, which can hardly last 1 month. So the catastrophe is really going to ensue or unfold towards the end of this month.
Brace up, people. Brace up. But of course, we're hoping for the very best. We hope that some magic or relief program or something else. There just has to be a heed to this cry. Somebody needs to do something about it, because from the analysis, the last person who spoke, Dr. Jimmy Opipo, he's the head of the malaria desk, Ministry of Health of Uganda. Yeah. Jimmy Opipo speaking there said the catastrophe is going to unfold in the latter part of this month, just 1 month after. Well, the resolution was in January, so technically just 2 months after, and there is gnashing of teeth already. Anyway, according to Malaria No More, it's a Washington-based organization. They are indicating that just 1 year of disruption in the malaria control supply chain could result in nearly 15 million additional cases. And if hands are folded further, 107,000 more deaths would be recorded worldwide. So the organization has called on the administration of Trump to reinstate the critical programs before outbreaks escalate. But then again, you wonder, would he decide to just reinstate these critical programs? I mean, he said he's going to do what he's doing, and he's doing it, of course. So I think beyond, calling on Trump to reinstate the critical programs, I think it's better we started looking at how we could, do something for ourselves as a people. Somebody says no open again. That's that crime foul. Get your acts together. Well, in 2023, the population of Africa was pegged at 1.5 billion. And it accounted for 95% of an estimated 597,000 malaria fatalities globally. This report came from the World Health Organization in 2023. 597,000 malaria fatalities came from about 95% of that number came from Africa alone. And well, health workers in Nigeria, in Congo, in Uganda, these countries I mentioned are the most affected by malaria, by the way. So health workers in Nigeria, Congo, and Uganda have described a series of negative consequences that are stemming from the reduction of U.S. government support. Again, we can only whine. After we whine, let's get things going. related matter, we also know that the U.S. State Department has ordered non-emergency government personnel to leave South Sudan's capital because of the tension that is escalating in the area. You know, there have been reported fightings in the north. I had someone join me on YouTube on News from Across Africa the other day, and he gave us a peep into what was going on in South Sudan. Thank you very much. Shout out to that person. Today I'm not streaming live on YouTube on Didi Rati. I will do that once I am able to. But hey, you can catch us on Citizen FM on YouTube, so you can, just join the conversation. Anyway, the travel advisory came from the U.S. Department, and it stated that fighting was ongoing and that weapons are readily available to the population. I mean, in the situation where weapons are readily available to the population, that's chaos. That's just anarchy unleashed. You can't say what is going to happen when ammunitions are in the hands of the wrong people or in the hands of the people who may not use it correctly. So as a result, the U.S. Department has said, hey, our people who are in South Sudan, please, you need to vacate the capital as soon as possible. Anyway, we know that during the course of last week, an armed group clashed with the country's army, leading to the arrest of 2 government ministers and a deputy army chief, who is reportedly allied to former rebel. He's now the vice president, so he's usually tagged former rebel, but the vice president, Riek Machar. The army surrounded Machar's home as his supporters said that the arrests were threatening the country's peace agreement. They signed the peace agreement. Anyway, that's what's happening right now. There just seems to be a lot of very thin peace going on in South Sudan. We also know that on Friday of last week, an attack on a UN helicopter that was on an evacuation mission in the north just sort of complicated the security situation, and a human rights body of the UN said that it was considered a war crime. What happened there during the period was considered a war crime. Here is what the UN Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan said. He said, the chairperson, Yasmin Suka, he said, we are witnessing an alarming regression that could erase years of hard-won progress. Rather than fueling division and conflicts, leaders must urgently refocus on the peace process. They also must uphold the human rights of South Sudanese citizens and ensure a smooth transition to democracy. Last week, I brought the information about Gabon's interim president saying out loud that he wants to run the presidential race. You remember? If you missed that episode, please just catch it up on YouTube as soon as possible. Anyway, Brice Oligui Nguema is set to face 3 challenges. 3 other people have said, they are going to be a part of the presidential poll that is due to take place on April 12th. There's been an official list that has been published by the Interior Minister. 19 others were rejected, according to the report. But they were given 72 hours in which to lodge an appeal with the Constitutional Court. Whether or not they will is yet to be seen. And there's been, a lot of speculation about whether Nguema, who is the interim president, would seek to remain in power. But then he's cleared that doubt. He said, I am running for president. But then, if we go to the polls, all things fair, whether or not he would win, that's the one that we are yet to see. But, it's hard to not foretell what is going to happen, especially if you pay attention to politics in Africa, when there is an intended transition from military or I think military is a word, rule to, it's supposed to transition into democracy. There just seems to be like a hold onto power of some sort. But the argument will always be that they went to the polls and they won the elections fair and square. But is that really the case? Anyway, let's just see how it goes. Let's not jump the gun on goings on in Gabon. Let's just see how it goes. His main challenger is Alain Claude Billy, Ali Bongo's last prime minister, by the way. So April 12th is going to be such an interesting day. Speaking of April 12th, I have a few weddings to attend. It's going to be an interesting day in Africa, isn't it? Okay, but that's what's going on in Gabon right now. All the names have been accepted. 3 top challengers are in the race alongside the interim president of the country, Nguema, at this time. All 4 are running as independents with campaignings scheduled to begin on March 29. Today is just 11. So the way they have planned the thing, between campaign and election proper is just very short a period. But we're hoping that they just make very good use of the time that they have. So I just mentioned one of the names of the challengers. Let's just go all over the rest too. So Alain Claude Billy Bainze is in the race. He was Ali Bongo's last prime minister. Nguema will also face Dr. Stephanie Germain Iloko, who is a former executive of the Gabonese Democratic Party. If you've been following politics in the Gambia, or in the Gabon rather, you would remember this name, because the Gabonese Democratic Party was the in thing from 1961 until 2023. They've been holding things down in politics in Gabon. So the former executive of the Gabonese Democratic Party is in the race. And thirdly on the list is Joseph Lebanese Eshigone, who is a lawyer and a tax inspector. So all 4 of them, as I mentioned earlier, would begin campaigns in earnest come March 29. Citizen FM 93.7. We're looking at news from across Africa. We've taken some stories from South Sudan and Uganda. Repercussions of the U.S. decision to cut aid to some African countries as well as other parts of the world. Uganda has started speaking up on what is going to happen. We saw a lot of cries from South Africa, saying, oh no, this move should be halted, this move should be reversed, and this and that. It didn't do anything. Uganda has joined the pack. Will it change anything? It's yet to be seen. We don't know yet. But it's so difficult to think that it would make any difference. Not so great report from South Africa as may he so rest in peace. Death has been announced of world-renowned South African playwright. If you are in the arts, as I am, you've had to study literature, anything of that, or even theater, you would have definitely come across the name Athol Fugard. Athol Fugard has died. He was a South African playwright, he was a director, and he was an actor. He suffered illness for quite a bit. He was an anti-apartheid figure. And we know that he leaves a very powerful legacy of works. One of his greatest, biggest, most celebrated works is Sizwe Banzi is Dead. Have you read that? God, just mentioning the title, I have goosebumps all over my body. Sizwe Banzi is Dead. Read that book about what? 15, 20 years ago? Oh, God. He's dead. Another one of his masterpieces is Master Harold and the Boys. You've ever heard of that? Oh my God. My people of literature, they would relate a lot. If you're listening to me and you've ever had an encounter with any one of these books, whether it's secondary school literature, university literature, or theater, or whatever, you would get it. The writer of those books, he's dead. Anyway, the South African government confirmed his death, saying that the country had lost one of its greatest literary and theatrical icons. President Ramaphosa described him as the moral conscience of a generation. May his soul rest in peace. Atol Fugad will be remembered for being an outliner amongst the millions of white South Africans who blindly turned a blind eye to the injustices being prepared in their name. Those are words of a city of Cape Town. In fact, they made a tweet. This was what the tweet. This is how the tweet reads. It says, "Cape Town mourns the passing of Civic Honor awardee Atol Fugad. Mayor Joyce Hale conveyed the city's condolences following the passing of Atol Fugad, esteemed playwright, novelist, actor, and director, who died at the age of 92." He was born in Eastern Cape, by the way. He studied at the University of Cape Town. Him and his wife, they met during the time. The couple later moved to Johannesburg, where he worked as a clerk in the Dative Commissioner's Court. May his soul rest in peace. This is so emotional for me. I mean, I had to do a lot of assignments on this way. Banzi is dead. I'm over and over and over again. Don't get it right, you go back and you do it again. Don't get it right, you go back and you do it again. There have been a lot of tweets. A lot of people have, poured out their condolences, praying for the repose of his soul. May he rest in peace. Let's get to listen to one of his, interviews where he talked about one of his biggest works at the time. Stay with us.
During the 40 years of apartheid, I was a very blinkered writer. I had one focus, which was to try and say as much as I could about that terrible system and what it was doing to people. Now, of course, that is past history. And the Captain's Tiger, I suppose, represents an attempt on my side to use the new freedoms that are there for us artists in the new South Africa.
Fugard collaborated.
That was Atol Fugad there, speaking on one of his biggest works. God, please, this is so emotional right now. Anyway, may his soul rest in peace. Stay with us. It is an FM 93.7. Top of the hour, I'll be back with newspaper headlines from across dailies.
By Hugh Masekela. He calls it Soweto Blues. The children got a letter from their master. It said no more Xhosa, Sotho, no more Zulu. Refusing to comply, they sent an answer. That's when the policeman came to the rescue. Children were flying, bullets dying, the mothers screaming and crying.